Okay, so we're in my mind, and the very first thing that I have to talk about in the Mind of Haize segment this week is Bill Cosby. So Bill Cosby was released from prison, as many of you probably know if you listen to this podcast. Most people who do stay on top of news like this. And I'm not going to get into a lot of it, the specifics and everything. Overall, he was released. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call it a technicality. So he was released because of a previous deal that he had made. And then the Supreme Court found that he should not have been even up for trial on these charges because of that previous deal. I want to make sure and point out that it's not well, I guess it is exoneration in a way, but it's not saying that he is not guilty of these crimes. It's just saying that he should have not been prosecuted for those crimes because of a previous deal. And so a lot of people come out, they have now heralded, Bill Cosby as another black man being wrongly convicted by the system. And I personally don't agree with that POV of this situation. Again, I know I've had people on here, shout out to 8-Track Brown, who, thought that Bill Cosby being even on trial was a conspiracy theory. But my thinking on this is yes, he was let go because of a previous deal. But to me, that in no way means that he did not convict these crimes. I do not consider him someone who's like the Central Park Five, the exonerated five, who weren't guilty of these crimes at all. He got let out because he should not have been on trial for them because he copped a previous deal. Now, for everyone who's now coming out and support Bill Cosby and all of this, to me, I find that largely disgusting. And I get it. He played it by the justice system, which a lot of other people have gotten off by and everything like that. I understand that there is nothing illegal in the way that he got out of prison. So I understand that is part of our justice system. This is why, for the same people who call out that we need justice reform, but then don't understand things like this, to me, it's a travesty in many degrees that somebody like a Bill Cosby got out of prison because of a technicality like this. Shout out to his lawyers. Shout out to his legal team, the ones that found this and got him out. Shout out to all that. But the simple fact remains to me is that he was found guilty on these charges. Now, yes, that guilty verdict does not stand because of previous deals and everything else like that. But to me, I can't celebrate the release of Black Cosby. I can't add this in to the list of black men who've been wrongly convicted. I can't do that personally for me because of the way that this went down, because of just the whole story and everything else that came out. And like I said, they're not saying he didn't do it. They're just saying he shouldn't have been on trial for it. So that's my opinion on that. I couldn't go too long without just sharing my opinion on it because I know this isn't one that necessarily everybody's going to agree with. And I don't expect everyone to agree with my opinions, whether you love my podcast, love me or not. I don't want you guys to always agree with me. I would love for this discussion to continue. But to me, it's just like, I can't hold Bill Cosby up. Like, I get it. I can understand, again, this is part of what the basis of this podcast is. I can understand people's perception on this without agreeing with it. And this is one that I just personally can't agree with at all. And I know there's going to be a lot of content that's released about this and everything, so I'm not going to stick on this too long. This is just the In the Mind of Haize segment where we dive into some things quickly. Last thing, Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, but she tested positive for marijuana, and as many of you know, she got pulled from the Olympics for it, and this has spurned a whole conversation on should she have been weed being a performance-enhancing drug or not. And while the fact that weed is becoming legalized countrywide slowly but surely, and I think we'll get there eventually, but it's still on list of banned substances is a conversation that we should have, right? That's absolutely a conversation that is one that I agree with, that I feel like the crimes, everything should as far as criminalizing weed possession, everything, all that should go away. It's and even in the state that she tested positive in, it was legal. So this brings more stuff to the conversation of and this is where the conversation to me really lies in, is how do we get the Olympics and these other governing bodies to update their rules and regulations to stop, in many ways, criminalizing the use of marijuana. Now, on the flip side of that, once you sign up, when you're at a job and working for an employer, You go off what their rules are. But she should have been aware of the rules. If that was a rule to be a part of the Olympics, was to not use weed or whatever other substance that was on that list, that is up to her to maintain. So we can talk all day, and it's a good conversation. I want to make sure it's a great conversation and a needed conversation to have, to talk about these things of, well, how should not be on that list. We should not be on one of the list of banned substance or listed as a performance enhancing drug. That is absolutely a conversation that we should have, and we should not let the Olympic governing body or any of these other governing bodies off the hook for that. But until that change actually happens, it is up to her to operate within the rules that are set forth by that governing body. That's just the realities of it. And so, unfortunately, this opportunity for her to compete in the Olympics was taken away from her, unfortunately. And we can say that we felt that it was unjust all day. And I agree. Because I don't agree with the ruling, I do feel that it's unjust. But still, until those rules are in place, it's up to the athletes to stick to those rules. And unfortunately, she didn't. And it sucks because, Olympics is every 4 years. We're going to get 3 years in between the Olympics now just because of it being delayed for COVID. And it sucks because that is a huge gap in the life of a Olympic athlete, right? Luckily, she's still very young. And hopefully she still kills it in every opportunity that she gets, because this was, you hate to see somebody young lose an opportunity for, antiquated rules. And so, hopefully this being so much attention and so drawn to it that it does cause some change in the ruling so that, we don't have these issues anymore. That's my opinion on that. Those are the two topics for the In the Mind of Haize segment. It's really all that I got for you guys this week. We're going to get into a brief break. And then on the other side of that, we're going to jump into the main discussion topic, which is built around hedonic adaptation, the concept of that. Basically, we're going to be talking about happiness and being a creative, and like how this hedonic adaptation kind of applies to creativity. We'll see you guys right after this.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.